Good morning, everybody. We are Alicia, Laura, and Raquel, and today we will be talking about homeschooling in the USA. First of all, I would like to introduce you to our research question. We are studying homeschooling in the USA because we want to know why parents choose this type of education in order to understand which are its main strengths and weaknesses to ultimately make recommendations in favor or against legalizing homeschooling in Spain. To answer the research question, we analyzed the following things. First of all, how homeschooling actually works in the US, then the reasons behind choosing homeschooling, its main strengths and weaknesses, and finally, our proposal for Spain. What is homeschooling? Well, according to Bohan, a homeschooled child is the one taught at home by parents or other shared service where the parents are responsible for the education and resources. Homeschooling can also be known as selective home education, and it is a type of education that is mostly practiced in English-speaking countries. It is important not to confuse the term homeschooling with being schooled at home. Even though they might sound the same, to be schooled at home means being taught at home, but the education is provided by a public school system via the internet or correspondence. Parents are strictly mentors rather than the teacher. And homeschooling is the educational practice made possible and available by parents where the curriculum is chosen, acquired, and instructed by them. Over the recent years, the number of homeschooled children in the United States has grown up exponentially. In 2008, it was estimated that over 1.5 million children were homeschooled. The importance of these numbers has made homeschooling an almost trending topic over the years. In addition, some surveys confirmed that Americans have become more receptive to the idea of homeschooling, and it has become a more socially acceptable alternative to public schools.
And now we will analyze why parents choose homeschooling. Well, as there exists a huge diversity among families, there are also different reasons for them to choose homeschooling, but the majority of them are related with pedagogical issues and not with religious ones. So, religious factors do not determine whether to choose this educational practice or not. And now we are going to highlight the most important reasons. First, parents desire to be actively involved in their children's education due to the poor communication between schools and families, which affects academic and personal development. Moreover, they consider that schools provide children with a traditional education, so they opt to satisfy their kids' needs with diverse teaching learning options and methodologies, where ICT play a crucial role, further accentuating this diversity. Also, due to the dissatisfaction with the quality of the curriculum, education, or the environment at schools, including bullying, violence, and the inappropriate role models which are shown there. So, these parents want to overcome the shortcomings of the school. What is more, for reasons related to ideological or religious beliefs, because these people sometimes consider that the conventional school discriminates against them or tries to modify their culture, or these parents simply show ideological opposition to the system. Another important reason is associated with children with special educational needs, such as autism, dyslexia, and high abilities, whose parents maintain that their needs are not being addressed correctly. And also for medical reasons, for example, children who are homeschooled as a result of long periods of time missing from school due to chronic illnesses. Besides, these parents think that the school is too rigid and not very flexible, so the learning processes are quite standardized, preventing the personalization of teaching according to the needs of each student. And finally, homeschooling offers a space of less tension for the children than the one present in the school, since it reduces or even avoids stress.
Based on the previous analysis, now we are able to define the different strengths and weaknesses. Homeschooling makes sense if a child really can't thrive in a traditional school setting, whether that's because of social, emotional, or academic issues. Moreover, as parents are the ones who know their kids the best, homeschooling gives them more flexibility and curricular adaptation according to their needs. And this customized education facilitates the child's learning process. Also, parents can introduce more experiences in the learning process of a child, which does not happen in a regular class, and it is very helpful for kids. Homeschoolers receive better education than public school students, which leads to higher student achievement levels by 30 to 37% in all subject areas, as well as in standardized tests, reading aloud, and task management. Ratios are smaller, which leads to a more direct instruction than in public schools. Also, the fact that parents can choose the socialization activities can be advantageous, avoiding cases for bullying or violence. The good practices of homeschooling can be adopted as well as adapted by public school educators, improving the quality of conventional schools. But there are also some disadvantages of homeschooling, like the fact that young children who are homeschooled are not regularly in an environment with other kids, and also it could be hard to follow a strict routine. The labor and economic resignation that it supposes for the parents is another weakness. Moreover, the income that is usually sacrificed to keep one of the parents at home is that of the mother. Consequently, homeschooling might limit career opportunities for mothers who stay at home, worsening gender differences. Also, critics are concerned about the fact that too much reliance on the family for education could lead to indoctrination. Making schooling private might improve educational quality for some, but will diminish qualities for others, increasing inequalities. Now we're going to explain some of the myths about homeschooling. Many people think that homeschoolers are isolated from society. However, they are active members of organizations, clubs, and other social networks. People also think that they are isolated from cultural diversity. However, according to research, homeschooled students on average interact with people from diverse socioeconomic backgrounds, religions, and ethnicities. That homeschooling does not prepare good citizens is another myth, since homeschooled adults are heavily engaged in community life and are more civically involved than the general population. Other two myths about homeschooling are that homeschoolers have difficulty entering college, which is not true since 75% of homeschoolers attend college and their marks are equal or even better than those of public school students. Also, it is thought that homeschoolers have low self-esteem and depression, but they actually don't lack self-esteem and they have lower rates of depression than those of public school students.
In order to come to an accurate conclusion and give a proper recommendation about this issue, it is important to take a close look at the situation of homeschooling in Spain. Even though it is something not quite common, it doesn't mean it is not practiced. In Spain, homeschooling is not legal, but it's also not illegal. This means that in the part of the legislation regarding education, homeschooling is not mentioned, so it is not prohibited nor allowed. In other words, there is a legal void. Now that we know this, children that are homeschooling in Spain primarily come from other countries where homeschooling is socially acceptable and legal, and it is a struggle because they aren't recognized as being schooled, so in the future they could have some troubles to continue with their education. We believe that homeschooling in Spain should appear in the legislation to at least end this legal void that we have. In addition, it should be legalized in order for families to have the option to homeschool their children if they need it.
However, it should be regulated in order to assure that each child reaches the minimum standards for that education to be considered successful and to avoid inequalities. As it happens in the 50 states in the USA, guidelines such as approval of curriculum, demonstration of teacher qualifications, and unannounced visits from the Department of Education should be provided. So, this should serve as a model for Spanish homeschooling. As we said, our take on this issue would be legalizing it but making sure that the parents meet and follow the following standards. For example, if one of the parents is going to impart the lessons, they should be able to combine their personal job with their child's education, even if that means giving up your job. Moreover, they have to identify the child's needs and customize his or her education according to them. Parents should not only have basic knowledge on the main subjects, but they should also develop personal qualities such as sensitivity, affection, creativity, dedication, as well as the development of diverse pedagogical teaching methods.
Other conditions could be that parents should teach their children the appropriate values and attitudes, and also they must ensure that their children develop autonomy. And now, after this, we would like to know your opinion. What do you think?
Thank you all so much for watching.